Welcome to Liar's Heir syndrome in the Roman Empire, how Roman politics shaped the future. This series adventures into history's shadowy corners. We examine how deceit and manipulation have shaped civilizations. Our first stop, the Roman Empire. Rome's legacy is vast. It encompasses law, architecture, and governance. But beneath this grandeur lies a darker side. The Roman Empire, for all its glory, was a breeding ground for deceit. Power struggles were a constant. Alliances shifted like desert sands. Betrayal was a common currency. This is where Liar's Heir syndrome, also known as LHS, takes root. LHS examines how deceit, passed down through eras and generations, shapes societies. In this episode, we'll dissect the Roman Empire. We will uncover the layers of deceit woven into its fabric. How did manipulation infect Roman politics? How did it trickle down to everyday life? And most importantly, how did these ancient deceptions echo through time and influencing our world today? Imagine the Roman Empire at its peak, a vast territory stretching from the British Isles to the sands of the Middle East. A complex society bound by laws and customs. At the heart of this empire was Rome, a city pulsing with ambition, intrigue, and danger. Power in Rome was a dangerous game. The stakes were incredibly high. To rise to the top, one needed more than just ambition. Cunning, ruthlessness, and a mastery of deception were essential. Betrayal wasn't just a possibility, it was practically expected. The very structure of Roman society encouraged a culture of deceit. The Senate, Rome's ruling body, was meant to be a beacon of virtue and wisdom. Yet it was often a stage for power plays and manipulation. Senators forged alliances, only to break them when convenient. They whispered lies in dark corners, plotting the downfall of their rivals. This was the world of the Roman Empire, a world where power was a double-edged sword and truth was a fluid concept, a world where Liar's Heir syndrome flourished. The Roman political landscape was a viper's nest of intrigue. It was a dangerous game played by those who craved power, those born into it and those who dared to challenge the established order. This wasn't a world of open debate and honest discourse. This was Rome, where whispers held more weight than words. A carefully placed dagger could shift the balance of power more effectively than any decree. At the heart of this web of intrigue lay the Roman Senate. Theoretically, it was the embodiment of Roman virtue, a council of wise men guiding the republic. In reality, it was often a battleground where ambition and jealousy collided. Senators, cloaked in the dignity of their office, plotted against each other, their togas concealing not just daggers, but also a multitude of secrets, betrayals, and lies. Power in this world was a fickle mistress. It could elevate a man to the highest office one day and cast him down in disgrace the next. To survive in this arena, one had to be a master of manipulation. Alliances were forged and broken with alarming regularity. Loyalties were as fleeting as the morning mist. Within this treacherous landscape, a particular type of individual thrived. The master of deceit, the puppet master who could manipulate events from the shadows, the architect of downfall who could orchestrate a rival's ruin with a whisper and a smile. These were the individuals who embodied the very essence of Liar's Heir syndrome, their actions shaping the destiny of Rome itself. Few figures in history embodied the seductive allure and destructive potential of ambition as vividly as Gaius Julius Caesar. Born into a patrician family, Caesar possessed a potent combination of charisma, intelligence, and ruthlessness. These traits propelled him through the ranks of Roman society. His rise to power was a masterclass in manipulation. It was a testament to the effectiveness of deceit when wielded by a skilled hand. Caesar understood the power of perception. His military campaigns, chronicled in his own self-serving commentaries, were as much about crafting a public image as they were about conquering territory. He presented himself as a bringer of order, a champion of the people. All the while he was ruthlessly consolidating his own power base.
My decision to cross the Rubicon River with my legions was a calculated gamble. It was a bold stroke that could have easily led to my downfall. Yet it was a gamble that paid off. It cemented my image as a man of action, a leader who would not be bound by convention or the dictates of a corrupt Senate.
Caesar's rise was not without its detractors. His rivals within the Senate saw him as a threat to the Republic. They viewed him as a demagogue who would not rest until he had seized absolute power. They were right, of course, but they underestimated his cunning and his ability to manipulate the very system they sought to protect. The dying years of the Roman Republic were a period of intense political upheaval. It was a time when the old order crumbled under the weight of its own contradictions. The first triumvirate was a cynical alliance of convenience between Caesar, Pompey the Great, and Marcus Licinius Crassus. It was a testament to the decay that had set in at the heart of Roman politics.
These three powerful men, each driven by their own ambitions, carved up the Republic amongst themselves. Their alliance was held together not by shared ideals, but by a mutual understanding of the power they wielded. It was a pact built on shifting sands. It was destined to collapse as soon as their individual interests diverged.
The assassination of Caesar on the Ides of March was a desperate act of defiance by a group of senators who believed they were saving the Republic. It was, in many ways, a testament to the effectiveness of his own methods. They resorted to violence because they recognized that Caesar had become too powerful. He was too adept at manipulating the levers of power to be removed by any other means.
But their act, while intended to restore the Republic, only served to hasten its demise. The conspirators had misjudged the mood of the people. Caesar, in death, became a martyr. His legacy was manipulated by his heir, Octavian, to pave the way for the rise of the empire.
The Republic, already on life support, breathed its last. This paved the way for a new era of Roman history, one in which deceit and manipulation would continue to play a central role. The assassination of Julius Caesar sent shockwaves through Rome. The Republic, already teetering on the brink, plunged into chaos. From this maelstrom emerged Caesar's adopted son, Octavian, a shrewd and ambitious young man who understood that power, once seized, had to be secured through more subtle means. His weapon of choice? Propaganda.
Octavian, later known as Augustus, was a master of manipulating public perception. He recognized that the Roman people, weary of war and instability, craved a return to order and prosperity. And he was more than willing to provide it, or at least the illusion of it, through a carefully orchestrated campaign of propaganda that would put even the most skilled modern spin doctors to shame.
Augustus understood that true power lay not just in commanding legions, but in shaping the very narrative of his rule. He commissioned grand public works, ostensibly to beautify Rome, but in reality, to showcase the prosperity he claimed to have ushered in.
He revived ancient religious festivals, presenting himself as a pious leader, a guardian of Roman tradition. Every public appearance, every edict, every coin minted during his reign was meticulously crafted to reinforce his image as Rome's savior, the bringer of peace and prosperity, the heir to Caesar's legacy, but without the baggage of his dictatorial image.
Augustus's reign marked a turning point in Roman history, a time when the art of deception was elevated to a high art form, its techniques shaping the political landscape for centuries to come. Rome, even in the twilight of the Republic, was a city that spoke through its architecture. Grand temples, imposing basilicas, and bustling marketplaces all testified to the power and grandeur of Roman civilization. Augustus, ever the astute politician, recognized the power of this visual language and used it to his advantage. Under his rule, Rome underwent a dramatic transformation. The Forum of Augustus, a sprawling complex of temples, law courts, and public spaces, was a monument to his reign. It was a physical embodiment of the order and prosperity he claimed to have restored. Statues of Augustus, depicted as a wise and benevolent ruler, adorned public spaces. They subtly reminded the populace of their benefactor. The Ara Pacis, the altar of peace, was perhaps his most masterful piece of propaganda. It was commissioned to celebrate the peace and stability he had brought to the empire after decades of civil war. It depicted scenes of Roman virtue, prosperity, and harmony. These concepts were subtly linked with Augustus's rule. These weren't just buildings, they were carefully constructed narratives in stone and marble. They served as constant reminders of Augustus's achievements. They subtly shaped the public's perception of his reign. Even today, the ruins of these structures stand as a testament to the power of propaganda. They are a reminder that even the most enduring monuments can be built on a foundation of carefully crafted deception. The poet's pen crafting a legacy through verse.
Augustus understood that shaping public opinion required more than just stone and marble. He needed to capture the hearts and minds of the Roman people, to weave his narrative into the very fabric of their culture. And for this, he turned to a weapon perhaps even more potent than legions or monuments: the written word.
Poets like Virgil and Horace, with Augustus's patronage, became architects of his legacy. They crafted verses that extolled his virtues and legitimized his rule. Virgil's epic poem, the Aeneid, subtly linked Augustus's reign to the legendary founding of Rome. It imbued his rule with a sense of destiny and divine favor. Horace, in his odes, celebrated the peace and prosperity of Augustus's reign. He contrasted it with the chaos and bloodshed of the recent past. These poems, disseminated throughout the empire, helped to solidify Augustus's image as a wise and benevolent ruler, a bringer of a new golden age. Through their verses, these poets became mouthpieces for Augustus's propaganda. Their words subtly shaped public perception. They crafted a narrative that transcended the immediacy of political events, weaving Augustus's reign into the very fabric of Roman history and myth. Their poetry, still studied and admired today, serves as a lasting testament to the power of the written word. It shaped not just opinions, but entire civilizations. Whispers in the halls of power, deceit in the Roman bureaucracy. As the Roman Empire sprawled across continents, a vast and intricate bureaucracy arose to manage its affairs. This complex machinery of governance encompassed everything from tax collection to military logistics. It was essential to the empire's functioning. Yet, like any system involving power and ambition, it was fertile ground for deceit. Its corridors echoed with whispers of corruption, favoritism, and betrayal. The Roman bureaucracy, for all its outward order and efficiency, was a labyrinthine world. Personal connections often mattered more than merit. Ambitious individuals, eager to climb the ranks, resorted to bribery, blackmail, and sabotage to advance their careers. Their actions undermined the very foundations of Roman law and order. Information in this world was a valuable commodity. It was often distorted or suppressed for personal gain. Official reports could be altered with a few well-placed strokes of a pen. Inconvenient truths were buried beneath layers of bureaucratic obfuscation. The pursuit of justice, theoretically the bedrock of Roman law, could be easily derailed. Those with the right connections and enough gold could grease the wheels of power. Within this shadowy realm, loyalty was a fluid concept. Ambition often trumped integrity. The principles of liar's-heir syndrome flourished. Deceit, passed down from one generation of bureaucrats to the next, became an ingrained part of the system. It eroded the very fabric of Roman governance from within. Patronage and its perversions, a system ripe for abuse. At the heart of Roman society lay the concept of patronage. It was a complex web of reciprocal obligations that bound individuals and families together in a system of mutual benefit and support. In theory, it was a system that fostered loyalty, mentorship, and social mobility. In practice, it often became a breeding ground for corruption, favoritism, and abuse. Powerful patrons, often wealthy senators or equestrians, used their influence to secure positions for their clients. This was regardless of their qualifications. In return, they expected unwavering loyalty. This was often expressed through political support or even acts of violence against their rivals. This system, while seemingly beneficial on the surface, created a culture of dependency and obligation that pervaded Roman society. It discouraged meritocracy. It rewarded those with the right connections rather than those with talent and integrity. And it provided ample opportunities for deceit. Ambitious individuals sought to exploit the system for their own gain. Clients, eager to please their patrons, resorted to flattery, deception, and even outright lies to curry favor. Patrons, in turn, often turned a blind eye to the misdeeds of their clients. Their loyalty was secured by the bonds of obligation and the fear of losing valuable allies in the cutthroat world of Roman politics. The patronage system, intended to provide structure and support, became yet another tool for the practitioners of Heir syndrome to manipulate their way to power. Shadows and secrets, the role of informers and spies. As the Roman Empire grew in power and complexity, so too did the paranoia of its rulers. Fearful of rebellion, assassination, or any challenge to their authority, emperors increasingly relied on a shadowy network of informers and spies. This was to maintain their grip on power. These individuals, often drawn from the fringes of society, operated in the shadows. Their whispers carried the weight of life and death. Informers, motivated by greed, revenge, or a perverse sense of duty, whispered rumors and accusations into the ears of their handlers. Their words often led to imprisonment, exile, or even execution for the accused. Spies infiltrated all levels of Roman society, from the bustling marketplaces to the opulent villas of the elite. Their eyes and ears were constantly on the lookout for any sign of dissent. The atmosphere of suspicion and fear cast a long shadow over Roman life. Friendships were tested, loyalties questioned as the threat of denunciation hung heavy in the air. Truth became a casualty in this climate of paranoia. Accusations were often accepted as proof, and whispers carried more weight than evidence. The very existence of this vast network of informers and spies was itself a testament to the pervasive influence of Heir syndrome. It reflected a deep-seated mistrust within Roman society. There was a belief that deception and betrayal lurked around every corner, and it created a self-fulfilling prophecy. The fear of being denounced often led to self-censorship and conformity, stifling dissent and reinforcing the power of those who benefited from the status quo. Bread and circuses, a dangerous diversion. Roman society, for all its grandeur and sophistication, was riven by a fundamental inequality. A vast chasm separated the wealthy elite, who lived lives of privilege and indulgence, from the teeming masses who struggled to survive in the empire's crowded cities. Maintaining order in such a volatile environment required a delicate balancing act. It was a combination of brute force and cunning manipulation, and it was in this arena that the strategy of bread and circuses proved particularly effective. The Roman authorities understood that a hungry populace was a dangerous populace. To stave off unrest, they implemented a system of grain dole. This provided free or subsidized grain to the urban poor. This policy, while ostensibly benevolent, was in reality a calculated act of social control. It was a way to keep the masses placated and dependent on the state. But food alone was not enough to quell the simmering discontent that lurked beneath the surface of Roman society. The masses craved distraction, a release from the drudgery of their daily lives. And the Roman authorities were more than happy to provide it. They did so in the form of lavish public spectacles that served to entertain, distract, and ultimately control the populace. This combination of material appeasement and carefully orchestrated diversion was a potent weapon in the arsenal of Roman rulers. It was a testament to their understanding of the baser instincts of human nature. It was a cynical but effective strategy, one that allowed them to maintain their grip on power, while simultaneously perpetuating the very inequalities that fueled social unrest. The spectacle of power, gladiators, chariot races, and the illusion of control. The Colosseum, Rome's iconic amphitheater, stands today as a stark reminder of the empire's enduring fascination with spectacle and violence. Within its massive walls, gladiators fought to the death. Wild beasts were pitted against armed men, and the roar of the crowd echoed the brutal realities of Roman life. These games, far from being mere entertainment, served a deeper political purpose. The gladiatorial combats, with their raw display of skill, courage, and brutality, offered the Roman populace a vicarious outlet for their own frustrations and anxieties. The chariot races, with their breakneck speeds and unpredictable outcomes, provided a thrilling escape from the monotony of daily life. But these spectacles were more than just a diversion. They were carefully crafted displays of power, designed to reinforce the authority of the Roman state. The emperor presiding over the games became a godlike figure, dispensing life and death with a gesture. The very scale and opulence of the game served as a constant reminder of the empire's wealth and might. In this way, the Roman authorities used spectacle to legitimize their rule, to instill a sense of awe and wonder in the populace. The games, with their carefully choreographed displays of violence and triumph, became a microcosm of the Roman Empire itself, a potent symbol of its power, its ruthlessness, and its enduring hold on the popular imagination. Whispers stifled the suppression of dissent in Roman society. Maintaining order in a vast and diverse empire like Rome required more than just bread and circuses. It also demanded a firm hand in silencing those who dared to question the established order. Roman rulers, while often tolerant of minor grumblings, were quick to crack down on any perceived threat to their authority. Censorship was a powerful tool in the hands of the Roman authorities. Books, plays, and even private correspondence were subject to scrutiny. Their content was deemed acceptable or subversive based on the whims of those in power. Those who dared to criticize the emperor or the Roman state risked imprisonment, exile, or even death. Public gatherings were closely monitored. Informants and spies blended into the crowds, listening for any hint of sedition. The very architecture of Roman cities, with their wide, straight roads and open spaces, was designed to facilitate crowd control and discourage any potential for rebellion. This atmosphere of suspicion and repression cast a long shadow over Roman intellectual and artistic life. While Rome produced great thinkers and artists, their works often reflected the constraints imposed by a regime that valued order above all else. True freedom of expression, the lifeblood of a vibrant and dynamic society, was a rare commodity in the Roman world. The Roman Empire, despite its eventual decline and fall, cast a long shadow over Western civilization. Its legacy can be seen in our laws, our language, our art, and even in the very structure of our governments.
But the Romans also bequeathed to us a more insidious inheritance, a deep-seated understanding of the power of deceit as a tool of political control.
The techniques of propaganda honed by Augustus and his successors, the manipulation of public perception through spectacle and symbolism, the use of fear and suspicion to silence dissent. These strategies did not disappear with the fall of Rome.
Instead, they were adopted, adapted, and refined by subsequent generations of rulers, from the Byzantine emperors to the Machiavellian princes of the Renaissance. The Roman Empire may be long gone, but its lessons in the art of deception continue to resonate.
The very concept of realpolitik, with its emphasis on pragmatism and the pursuit of power above all else, can be traced back to the cynical world of Roman politics. The idea that the ends justify the means, that morality is a luxury that those in power can ill afford, found fertile ground in the Roman world.
And so, the legacy of Roman deceit lives on, not just in history books, but in the corridors of power, in the boardrooms of corporations, and even in our own personal lives, a constant reminder that the human capacity for manipulation and self-deception is as enduring as it is dangerous.
The concept of liar's heir syndrome, while rooted in the history of ancient Rome, has chilling relevance in the 21st century. The techniques of deception and manipulation that flourished in the Roman world have found new life in our digital age. They are amplified by the speed, reach, and anonymity of the internet. Propaganda, once disseminated through carefully crafted statues and epic poems, now spreads like wildfire through social media feeds. It is tailored to our individual biases and preferences. Disinformation campaigns, fueled by bots and algorithms, sow discord and distrust. They undermine our shared sense of reality. The tactics of surveillance and control, once the domain of Roman emperors and their spies, have been taken to Orwellian levels in our digital age. Our online activities, our movements, even our thoughts and desires are tracked, analyzed, and monetized by governments and corporations alike. The very nature of online interaction, with its carefully curated personas and filtered realities, encourages a certain level of deception. We present idealized versions of ourselves to the world. We mask our vulnerabilities and insecurities behind a digital facade. The line between authenticity and artifice blurs. The concept of truth itself becomes increasingly elusive. In this brave new world of digital deception, the lessons of Heir syndrome are more relevant than ever. We must learn to be critical consumers of information. We need to question the narratives presented to us and be wary of those who seek to manipulate us for their own gain. For the legacy of Roman deceit, like the empire itself, is a cautionary tale. It is a reminder that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance against those who would seek to deceive us. The Roman Empire, a civilization that once spanned continents and shaped the course of Western civilization, met its demise centuries ago, yet the echoes of its tumultuous history continue to resonate. They offer profound lessons for our modern world. The saga of Roman politics is woven with threads of ambition, treachery, and manipulation. It serves as a stark reminder of the seductive nature of power and the corrosive effects of deceit. From the calculated rise of Julius Caesar to the carefully crafted propaganda machine of Augustus, we have witnessed how deceit, employed as a tool of political strategy, can shape the destiny of nations. The very institutions meant to uphold justice and serve the people, the Senate, the bureaucracy, even the system of patronage, became breeding grounds for corruption and manipulation. The Roman elite, masters of spin and manipulation, understood that controlling the narrative was as crucial as commanding legions. They artfully employed spectacles, grand monuments, and even the power of poetry to shape public perception. They often masked their own ambitions behind a veneer of virtue and public service. The masses, distracted by bread and circuses, often remained oblivious to the manipulations unfolding behind the scenes. The Roman Empire may be relegated to history books, but the legacy of its deceitful practices transcends time. The concept of Heir syndrome is a term coined to describe the cyclical nature of deception in power dynamics. It finds chilling resonance in our modern world. The tactics may have evolved, but the underlying principles remain eerily familiar. In our digital age, information spreads at an unprecedented pace, often unfiltered and unchecked. The lines between truth and falsehood blur in the echo chambers of social media. Carefully curated narratives and targeted disinformation campaigns have eroded trust and fueled societal divisions. We are bombarded with carefully crafted images and messages. They are designed to influence our opinions, shape our consumption habits, and even sway our votes. The very algorithms that power our online experiences are often designed to exploit our biases and vulnerabilities. They trap us in echo chambers of confirmation bias. The lessons of ancient Rome serve as a stark warning. We must cultivate a healthy skepticism towards those in positions of power. Be they politicians, corporations, or even seemingly benign online personalities, we must learn to discern truth from falsehood in the digital age. We need to critically evaluate the information presented to us, and we must be wary of those who seek to manipulate us for their own gain. The legacy of Roman deceit is not just a historical curiosity, it is a mirror reflecting our own capacity for manipulation and self-deception. By understanding the tactics and motivations of those who came before us, we can better equip ourselves to navigate the complex and often treacherous landscape of the 21st century. The fight against deceit, both within ourselves and in the world around us, is an ongoing battle. It demands our constant vigilance and critical thinking.